Before I introduce this week's topic, I got to ask you, are you ready? Can you handle this week's topic? Are you sure? I know it's tough. I want to make sure. You've had a couple days to recover. This week's topic, 2020 World Series. Braves had a 3-1 lead. Kind of slid by, 3 games down. Anyway, we're going to talk Rays and Dodgers coming up right here on Coming In Hot. The 2020 season has brought a bunch of changes amongst us. Obviously, you've had the universal DH, and now we've seen a kind of a different kind of way of pitching, honestly. And gone is the 5, 6, 7 inning of the starting pitching now. And basically, we've seen kind of like the starters that goes 3 innings, maybe 2 1/3, maybe 2 innings. Are we going to see this in the World Series?
Definitely we are, and it's very weird, isn't it? Because, you know, the way we grew up watching baseball, it was starter's going to go. I need you to give me 6 or 7 in a playoff game.
Exactly.
If you get in trouble, then it shrinks.
Yeah.
It's never been the plan to throw a guy for just a couple innings or one at a time. And it's just the new way of life that we've had to adapt to here with baseball. It's been exciting. Of course, it's going to stretch the game out a little longer, which is what they don't want. But it's the new way of baseball. It's give me a guy out there who can flame throw for an inning or so, and that's it. We'll move on to the next. You got a few traditional starters, which are still the majority of the rotation, but we just have to adjust. And it's been fine.
So basically, let's look at the starting pitcher for both sides. Basically, for the Rays, you have Glass now, and you have Charlie. Mm-hmm. And that's it, right?
And Snell.
And Snell. Oh, Blake Snell. I forgot about Blake Snell.
Yeah.
For the Dodgers, I mean, you're looking at Walker Buehler and Clayton Kershaw. I mean, do you include Big Red in that or not?
No, he's not your traditional starter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, you're looking at 3 versus 2, and you're looking at a bunch of, I mean, maybe Urias? Could you?
Yeah, he could. He did it in the NLCS. He went a while. So he's certainly more than capable. He's not the guy you think of
exactly
in the long starter role, right?
I mean, but Dodgers keep on. I mean, they have pitchers coming out of the kazoo. I mean, it doesn't make a difference. I mean, here comes a pitcher. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make a difference. They have pitching coming. You know, it doesn't make it seriously.
For me, and I'm talking about this on the drive over with the crew, that for the Dodgers, boy, they were made to look out a lot better than they were in that last series. Atlanta swings at everything. So you didn't really even have to throw strikes.
True.
It just had to be around the zone. Didn't have to be in the zone, and they were going to swing. Plate discipline, and, you know.
How about base running?
We'll talk about that later. That's not going to happen with Tampa.
No, I guarantee you that.
But
no.
I think plate discipline is going to be huge for Tampa. I don't want to dive too much into the intricacies because I think it plays into our first question from a viewer. But plate discipline is going to be massive. You cannot let the pitchers get ahead of you when they're not throwing well. And there was a lot of times when I thought LA wasn't throwing very well against Atlanta, and the Braves bailed them out. Mm-hmm. And I don't see Tampa doing the same. Are the Dodgers capable of being fantastic on the mound? Of course, we've seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
They just didn't need to be last round. Will it come back to get them this round is the question.
And that's the one thing is Tampa Bay is I think they're a much more patient team, mm-hmm. and it's going to be very interesting. I mean, you have and that's the other thing. I mean, you have the high glitzy, high payroll, and obviously you look at. I think I heard something that it says Kershaw and Betts prorated salaries basically equal the entire Tampa Bay payroll for this season.
Yeah, money doesn't always buy happiness, does it?
Exactly. So it's going to be very interesting to see what goes on here. And what do you think? No, let's wait. I'll wait to give your prediction. Let's get to some of the the viewers' questions. How about this?
Yeah.
Cody Connors asks, who is the biggest X factor?
That's a good question. I would have thrown plate discipline as part of that, but the biggest X factor to me is what you brought up at the top of the show, and is how do you manage your pitching staff? If you recall, the first team to really bring in this opener concept was Tampa Bay when Joe Madden was around. Mm-hmm. And they've kind of stuck with it, and it's worked. Are they great? No, they're not great. They're serviceable, and they're manageable, and they get the job done. Tampa's not going to put up 10 runs in a game. That's not how they play ball. They'll do it every now and again, but it's not their MO like it is with the Dodgers. So having the 9 hitters for LA come up to the plate and see a different guy almost every time they come to the plate, it's not going to happen with Snell. It's probably not going to happen with Glass now. Charlie Morton, it's more likely to happen that they won't see him more than once or twice. But to have to see somebody different every single time you come to the plate is going to be massive for Kevin Cash. And see if he can manage that staff well enough to get around a team that just hits whenever and wherever they want, it seems. So the biggest X factor to me is the Rays pitching staff.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
And basically it's going to be, and I'm kind of the same thing as, all right, you're going to go starters, and let's say it's tied 3-3. I mean, basically that's what you're looking at, but probably by the 5th or 6th inning. You're going to be at 3-2, 3-3 game, basically almost the entire time. You know, granted, you're going to have, you know, 1 or 2 one-offs or something like that, but basically these games are going to be pretty tight. But it's going to be which bullpen blinks first, honestly, and that's what's going to happen. I agree with you 100%. It's which bullpen's going to blink first and which bullpen's going to make that mistake.
You know what I'm excited to see, because we're taping the show before Game 1 plays, but it's airing now after Game 1 is over. We'll see if we were right.
Yeah,
at least for the first game, right?
Yeah,
There's going to be
true.
6 other games.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes, but at least for the game that will be played.
Possibly 6 other games.
Right. Well, yeah, possibly 6 other games. But we'll see how it goes on this day when we're recording and see if we got it right by tomorrow.
It's going to, what do you think players, what do you think hitter-wise, X factor?
Ooh, on the offensive side of the plate. It's very easy to throw out the guy who's the hottest hitter on the planet in Corey Seager, saying he's an X factor, right? X factor is usually the thing that's off to the side, especially when Seager's so much in the forefront. I'm going to throw him out. I'm going to throw out Mookie. And I'm going to go to the other side of the field, the other team across the way. If the Dodgers can shut down Randy Arozarena, the series is over. And it's over quick. He's the guy. And he's right now just as much the face of the Rays as Seager has been the face of the Dodgers in the playoffs so far. So if you shut down their one, everybody behind them has been feeding off of him. The Dodgers don't need that. If Seager doesn't hit well, the other 8 guys are fine. So it's can you stop Arozarena from doing anything, because that's how the rest of the team feeds, which, speaking the way we have in the 2 questions that we've answered, kind of gives you the sense of how big of a favorite the Dodgers are to win this thing.
See, I was going to go a little bit different. I was going to say Margot.
Okay.
I was going to say Margot. If you keep him off the base pass, because he's the leadoff hitter, right? Yeah, you keep him off the base pass. I mean, he's basically the one that sets the table. And I'm saying if you keep him off the base pass, I think that's the way you shut them down. We'll wait and see, but I believe that Margot is the X factor for the Rays. Obviously, the Dodgers side, I mean, you could sit there and say Seager, and I'm going to still sit with Seager. But
yeah, I am too if I didn't make that clear.
Yeah.
He drives the bus.
Which is funny because obviously he's been in relative obscurity until this series, honestly, and everybody's known what a raker he's been until this series. And all of a sudden, well, where's this Corey Seager kid come from? Hey guys, you know what? He's been around for several years now, and you know what? This kid is this is coming out party, I know, but this kid's gonna be good. He's gonna be good for a long time.
Well, we're here in Southern California. We see him every night,
Yeah.
and this is not a shock to either of us.
Yeah.
Everybody else around the country doesn't get to see the Dodgers play very often. May not think about him as that household name, which this is a whole nother topic. But we know how bad Major League Baseball is at putting their faces out there. The other one down the 5 freeway,
Yeah,
and Mike
exactly.
Trout, notwithstanding, of course, but he's a guy that we've seen, like you say, rake pretty much most of the time he's been in LA. He's been streaky. There was a time when he first came up, and after a couple of years, there were Dodger fans who were calling for his head, and I never understood why. You're gonna have slumps. It's going to happen. You got to get through them. But Seager's the guy on the other side. If you want to talk from a pitching standpoint, I think it does go back. Who carries the weight after Kershaw and after Buehler? Who carries the weight? And it seems that it's been Urias, because he pitched that big Game 3 against Atlanta, where, all right, before he even got out to the mound, it was 11-0, but that calmed him down, and it could get him into a rhythm for the rest of the playoffs. And he goes out and shuts Atlanta down in Game 7 on the back end of the game. He can be used anywhere.
True.
And multiple innings. This isn't typically a one-inning guy. He can be a one-inning guy, but they like him to go out there and eat up a couple innings on the back end, and if they need him to start a game, hey, go on ahead. I don't think May and Gonsolin would factor too big into how this series goes. We saw May start Game 7. He lasted an inning.
Yeah.
And Gonsolin came out for a few. He was okay. He gave up a run.
I think Roberts had the Rick Renteria syndrome though a little bit, and just got a little antsy though real quickly, obviously, and just had the quick hook. And obviously, when you get those Game 7 jitters and stuff like that, but as a manager as well, but still, I think the Game 7 manager. You got to give these kids. You got to give these kids, especially, and I say kids. They obviously still are kids, but you still got to give them some kind of leeway, and let them settle in. And unfortunately now, in today's fast-paced, the way baseball is, one mistake and all of a sudden here comes the hook.
There's no time to settle in.
No, exactly.
Anymore. I've got 6 other guys out there who come in right now and get me a
especially
few
when
outs.
you have a 30-man roster. You have 12 other pitchers. So what's the difference?
Let me reverse the show on you for a second. What do you think about the 3 batter rule
I've hated
for
that.
for this World Series
I hate
specifically?
it. I hate it from the outset. I still hate it. I think it's absolutely.
Well, you hate the rule in general, but what about for these 2 teams specifically? How does it affect them?
No, I think it's wrong. Honestly, I think it's wrong. You have specialty pitchers, and there's a reason why you have the specialty pitchers, and it's totally eliminates their specialty.
All right, then let me flip that question around. Not who does it affect more, who does it benefit more then?
You know what? I think it actually helps the Rays a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it actually helps the Rays. Actually, they got the fireballers and stuff like that, and they can sit there, and I actually think it helps the Rays more.
Wow. I think it helps the Dodgers more because they've got a lot more guys who can settle down after getting into a little bit of trouble than Tampa does. But we won't know until they play the game.
Exactly, until they play the game. So, all right, let's move on to Manny Aguilera's. He has 2 questions. How about this first one? How many innings do you think Clayton Kershaw will last in Game 1?
Well, this is going to be fun because by the time everybody sees this, it
Yeah,
will have already
exactly.
happened, and then they can laugh at our futility.
Exactly.
I'll give him 5. I can go 5 tonight. He didn't have to pitch in Game 7. We got an extra day off in there, which is rare territory for him because in deciding postseason games, it appears that Dave was putting him in at some point of all of those series clinching games, whether they won it or lost them. And this time they didn't have to do it, which is much to his benefit. So I'm going to give him 5 in Game 1.
I'm going to say he's going to go quality start.
Wow.
I'm going to say he's going to go 6 1/3, give him 9 strikeouts, 2 runs allowed, and basically he's going to leave with a no decision.
And he's going to leave with a no decision.
Yeah.
Wow. First of all, so you have a lot of faith that he's going to do well, and you have a lot of faith that it ain't going to matter.
No,
It's
Glasnow,
yeah.
I think Glasnow's got to be Glasnow's throwing the first game too.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I think Glasnow. It's going to be a pitcher's duel, honestly. I think that both teams are going to. Both pitchers are going to be set up, and they're going to do well, and we'll have to,
So
time will tell.
so you don't see a high-scoring game for
No,
game one.
No, I don't see high-scoring games in any of these series.
One of them will.
You think so?
Do you remember in 2017? I don't remember what game it was, but when the Astros and Dodgers played that 13-11 game or whatever it was, that crazy high-scoring game, I think we're going to get one of those. And it's going to be off of a couple of guys who don't usually give up runs, and just it's one of those nights where everybody's just clicking. I will tell you this, though. So I was at Game 3, Dodgers and Braves in the NLCS. That Globe Life Field is a freaking cavern, man. It is massive. To see the Dodgers hit home runs as far as they were in that place is nothing short of miraculous. And you look at the 2 home runs that Mookie Betts robbed, and the one home run he robbed, one probably would have been off the wall. The home run that Bellinger robbed in Game 3 of that series, it looked like Atlanta swung out of their shoes and got every piece of it, and the ballpark held it. And it took a pretty incredible effort by the defenders to make a catch, but my goodness, if that was Truist Park, or even if that was Dodger Stadium, I think they said on the broadcast in Game 7 that the one that Freeman hit that Betts robbed would not have gone out in Dodger Stadium, which is where Game 7 would have been. In Atlanta, they would have been out no problem.
Yeah.
But even so, man, it sounded like they put a charge the crack of the bat. I know Fox enhances the audio a little bit just for viewing purposes and listening purposes, but it sounded like they were getting all of it, and they just weren't carrying anywhere, even though they were robbed. But they were just creeping over the wall. Whereas Bellinger and Hernandez get a hold of one in Game 7, and they landed in flippin' Frisco, which is 40 minutes
exactly
up the road from Arlington. So I just that's going to be key. And the Rays not being
Frisco, Texas, by the way.
Yes, Frisco, Texas. Yes. No self-respecting San Franciscan ever called it Frisco. I know this for a fact. But what will play to the Rays' advantage is the fact that it's not really a home run hitting park, no matter what the Dodgers made it look like the other day. And them getting extra base hits and going down the line and maybe pulling off a bunt, similar to what the Astros did against the shift. Which, by the way, I was reading an article yesterday about the shift and how the shift really isn't the shift anymore. Playing straight-up defense is the new shift when you look at percentages.
Yeah.
But playing that small ball type of game does play to the Rays' advantage in this ballpark. The problem is they run into a team that it doesn't matter how big the ballpark is. They can mash it wherever they want, which is why I think we will see one game that will potentially see both teams reach double digits.
All right, let's hit the second half of Manny Aguilar's question right here. Can the Rays reliably hit homers at Globe Life Field?
I think I just answered that a second ago.
Basically,
yeah. No, they cannot. Not even a little bit. They might get a scratch one here or there, but no, they cannot reliably.
Where have you gone?
Yeah, right.
Basically.
He went to Frisco.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. San Francisco.
San Francisco,
yeah, exactly.
No, they can't. They cannot reliably hit home runs. I don't even care what ballpark it is. They can't reliably hit home runs. I know they got a few down in San Diego. And
that's a tough place to hit home runs.
It is, but not recently. Something's happened down there, and I don't know what it is.
They moved in the fences. That's what it is.
I know they did in right field. They moved them in. But a lot of them are getting over that left field wall now. Who hit one the other day that landed on the third deck at the Western Metal Supply Company over there and left? And it's people are getting a hold of it. I don't know if it's because there's no fans in the ballpark, and this is more science than anything.
You saying San Diego fans are full of cold air? Or what?
It certainly ain't hot air. You don't hear Padres fans talking a whole lot of mess.
Exactly.
No matter how well they're doing.
That's true. That's true.
You didn't hear them get loud when they won a few games won a game against the Dodgers.
That's true.
I know that much.
Wow.
Did they win a game against the Dodgers? Did I just misremember?
They got swept. They got swept.
Yeah, that was a sweep. They didn't. But even when they were in those games, you never, got on Twitter real quick to check what Padres fans were saying. Wow. They weren't there. They don't say anything. They know. They're like me.
You're taking a shot at Padres fans. Wow.
I don't know if it's a shot. It might be more of a compliment. They're like me. Just sit down and take your whooping.
Take your lumps.
That's what we do.
All right.
I do think the Dodgers can reliably hit home runs at Big Globe Life Field. We've seen it.
Yeah, there's nobody in that lineup that cannot hit a home run, I don't think.
Mm-mm. Anybody know who Edwin Rios was before last week?
No.
Look at that.
I didn't even know who the 15-year-old catcher was until last week, to tell you the truth, honestly. Wow.
Will Smith?
Yeah, Will Smith. Yeah, my goodness.
We got that heralded Will Smith versus Will Smith matchup that we all wanted. Will Smith won it, that big home run, big 3-run home run.
Yeah, that was incredible right there. All right, let's move to Andrew Elisha's question. Who's taking it home and who you've got for MVP?
Oh, the big question. The big question on all of our minds: who wins this World Series? We did the brackets, the bracket challenge before the playoffs started. I had Dodgers White Sox in the World Series. One of those two didn't quite pan out, but I will stick. Yeah, I will stick with the Dodgers, and I think I really want to say in 5. I think Tampa might be able to scratch out a second, so I'll stick with Dodgers in 6.
You took it right out of my mouth.
I
think it's going to be the Dodgers in 6 as well. Basically, Dodgers just have too much offense, and I think that's the whole thing. I mean, the pitching, the bullpen depth, I think as well. I think it favors the Dodgers, but the offense. I mean, 1 through 9, especially with the DH now involved, doesn't make a difference. I mean, they are stacked from top to bottom. I mean, you look all the way down, the outfield's stacked, first to third, catching. It doesn't make a difference. I think they're stacked all the way around, and I think the Dodgers, I mean, I think I called it from the beginning. I think it's the Dodgers' year, honestly. And you know what? Mookie comes in, and he's going to take home the hardware for the Dodgers.
I think for the Rays to have a legitimate chance at this, they need to go back and they need to study the video from Game 1, Dodgers-Braves, and see what Max Fried did. They need to study Game 2, what Ian Anderson did. Game 2 before, up until the 6th inning when the Dodgers came in and woke the bats up. Everybody, by the way, just on a side note, everybody said, "Oh, they woke the bats up. They woke the bats up." No, that doesn't make a difference, especially when the Braves put in all their lower level relief guys to go in just to make sure that the regular relief guys didn't have to come in, and then Melanson had to come in anyway, and they ended up winning 8-7. But up until the 6th inning, look at that video. Those are 2 of the best ways you're going to beat this Dodger teams. What Fried and Anderson did in games 1 and 2, and you got to see what they did in game 4 when they held the Dodgers to 2 runs. They're definitely beatable. I do not think they will be beat in this series, but they are beatable, and you have to execute. If Tampa executes, they will win the series. I just don't think they will.
It's going to be interesting to see what Kevin Cash has up his sleeve, honestly, because you're going to need more than – I mean, you're going to almost have to execute a perfect game plan to beat the Dodgers.
That's what they said about Atlanta, too. You needed to execute everything flawlessly, and they did it for
4 games.
Well, for about 2.5 games.
Yeah.
I would Game 1, Game 2 up until the 6th, and Game 4. They executed perfectly, and they never let them get into the game. They did after the 6th inning in Game 2, but up until that point, they didn't even give them a chance to breathe. And that's what you have to do. You got to put the stranglehold on early and keep it up, because the second they get a few guys on base, you're done. You're done.
Makes sense.
What about MVP?
Huh?
What about MVP?
MVP? I'm going to go Mookie.
Okay.
I think Mookie, I think actually he deserved it. I mean, his defensive prowess in the NLCS, I thought, he kind of stole the show and kind of took the wind out of the Braves' sail during the NLCS. And his offense, he was clutch when he needed to be. I think he's going to carry that over. And, he's going to set the table for the Dodgers and come up with some big hits. So we'll wait and see.
For me, it's you never see the NLCS MVP win the World Series MVP. It's very, very rare. So, no, it won't be Seager this time around.
I thought it was it wasn't Bellinger?
It was Seager.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in this World Series, when it's usually an unsung hero that comes out of nowhere, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that guy." The Dodgers have all heroes, right? Mm-hmm. It's tough to find somebody that you didn't really know was that good who's going to help you win a World Series. But I'm going to go with a guy who has not made a single spark so far in these playoffs, and not one moment that you can point back to and said, "Oh, if it wasn't for him, Justin Turner is going to win the MVP of the World
Cal
Series."
State Fullerton. I like it. There you go.
You know it.
There you go. Big Red.
The other Big Red on the team. The original Big Red on the team.
Exactly. The lawn gnome.
The lawn, the lawn gnome. I wonder if they win if he finally gets rid of it. If they win.
He gets rid of what?
All of this mess.
We'll wait and see. Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
But yeah, I'll go Dodgers in 6. Justin Turner's your MVP.
All right, we got some bonus questions now.
Yeah, we do.
All right, the SoCal Weasel. In your opinion, which broken curse meant more and why? The 2004 Red Sox or the 2016 Chicago Cubs?
That's a tough one. What we're looking at here is longevity. 86 years, 108 years. Does that extra 22 years in there make a difference? Or does the way these teams lost the way they did make the difference? That changes which one means more. I think the Cubs curse being broken meant more to Chicago than it did for Boston.
Wow. See,
Yeah,
I'm going opposite.
really. I'm stunned.
No,
I
I'm
also
dead
know
serious.
you don't like the Cubs.
Well, it doesn't make a difference because I mean, I'm going to the Red Sox because I know. I mean, I saw the Buckner era. I've seen basically victory or basically grabbed or defeat or victory grabbed out of the jaws or
Defeat grabbed from the jaws of victory. Yeah.
from the Red Sox on multiple occasions. And I understand that what the Red Sox fans have gone through. And I actually, you know what? They made a movie about it.
Yes,
Fever
they did.
Pitch, right? Was it
Yeah.
Fever Pitch? Yeah, Fever Pitch with Jimmy Fallon.
Actually, had to rewrite the ending of that movie.
Exactly.
Because they ended up winning.
Yeah, but I actually think I think the Red Sox, even though, you know what the funny part is, the White Sox actually had a longer curse than the Red Sox did.
Yeah.
But the Red Sox, of course, the White Sox won the year after, but still, I think the Red Sox was more. And then when you saw that parade, the boat parade afterwards, where they were lined up. I mean, that was not only for the state of Massachusetts; it was for the whole New England area, I believed that it was more important for that whole area. And don't get me wrong, I love Chicago and the Cubs. Yeah, I do have. I mean, Rhino, I still love you, and there's Hawk and everybody else. That's not Harrelson, but Dawson. I still love you guys, but I still think it's more important for the Red Sox than it was for the Cubs.
I think it was more important for the Cubs because I think they were more of a butt of a joke than the Red Sox were that whole time.
That could be true.
They had more of the pain. Yeah, the Red Sox had their moments, but it was always, oh, well, we go next year. The Cubs were just made fun of incessantly every time they blew. And there were times when we knew they didn't even have a chance to win a World Series. They get to the playoffs and they lose just in almost a quote-unquote regular fashion and still were made fun of incessantly. Red Sox fans and the Red Sox in general weren't really the butt of a joke for that whole time. It was just the number, right? It's been 80 years. It's been 82 years. It's been 84, 86 years.
And that's the whole thing. All I know is with the Cubs is Harry Carey's carcass is being pickled in some kind of a
What?
bad.
Just what?
People are pouring a bad kind of a beverage down. Harry
What just
Carey.
happened? The commercials he used to do?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway.
So anyway, that's why I think Chicago. It meant more for Chicago to break it than for Boston. Plus, then you look at that. Both cities ended up coming out smelling like roses, as you would say, when all the other teams in the city started winning championships.
True.
The Bears notwithstanding.
Oh.
But everybody else.
That makes
I mean,
sense.
the Bulls had already been good, right? They had that. The city of Boston hadn't won a title since the 80s, before the Patriots won in 2002, February of 2002. And then the floodgates opened.
Yeah, that opened the floodgates, and
Yeah.
that was. I mean,
Now
everybody's getting sick of Boston now, so it really doesn't make a difference.
yeah. Well, most people are getting sick of them.
All right, let's move to our next bonus question. Will either of the cities be celebrating come February as well? This is from C.J. Ilton. What the heck does that mean?
C.J. Ilton, huh?
Yeah.
Our boy Christian with the question. Will either of the cities be celebrating come February as well? I'd imagine he's talking about adding a Super Bowl title to the list as well, which is an interesting question. You know, with LA and Tampa playing each other, those two cities are one of them is guaranteed to have 2 championships this year because the Lakers won the NBA title and the Lightning won the Stanley Cup.
Oh,
so could somebody get a third
Oh.
in February, or maybe a second, depending on what happens here? I would say Tampa's got a pretty good shot after what happened on Sunday, which I'm sure you were very happy about, or what they did to Green Bay. And when you look at LA, no, I don't think the Chargers or Rams have a shot at all this year. Maybe the Chargers could jumpstart it. They play Jacksonville this week. That's usually a nice jump starter.
They do. They have a good
Justin Herbert's pretty good. I know we're talking football, but when we're talking about cities and them being in the World Series, no, I don't think LA will celebrate in February. Tampa Bay has a chance to celebrate in February. You seem straight-faced about this.
I saw he looked bad against the Bears. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, but he looked real good the other day against Green Bay.
I mean,
And he threw a touchdown to Gronk. They back. 91 career touchdown passes from Brady to Gronk. How about that?
you got to keep it going for more than 1 week, though.
Well, yeah, you do.
You got to keep it going for more than 1 week to sell me on it. So
This is true. And where do they go next week? Sunday night, out to Sin City.
to Vegas.
To Vegas. Bucks and Raiders next Sunday night.
Oh, great. Now you have my fantasy. I got to sit there and adjust my fantasy lineup to that one too. All right, let's go back to our previous show. We were talking about some best moments and stuff like that, and we had some viewers come in and chime in with their best moments.
Yeah, we asked everybody to send what their best sports moments were. We chimed in with ours, and we got a couple people to send in their thoughts.
And you know what? I like Cam Dog Jefferson's best moment.
I knew you would.
And you know what? Being a Boise State fan, he's going to go to the 2007 Fiesta Bowl. Boise State over Oklahoma. The Statue of Liberty. Wasn't that Statue of Liberty?
Statue of Liberty.
The Statue of Liberty, yes.
On the 2-point conversion.
Yep. That was, well, don't forget, there was the
hook and ladder.
The hook and ladder.
The hook and ladder on the plate to score the touchdown. Yeah.
And then the, God, what was his name? Peterson, right? Was it Peterson?
Chris Peterson.
Chris Peterson. Scott Peterson. No, different guy. Yeah. let's get that out of the way. Scott Peterson. Scott Peterson. No, Scott Peterson.
A much different person.
Yeah.
Chris
Peterson. Chris Peterson. Let's get that straight right away. Yeah. Yeah, Chris Peterson pulls out all the stunts right there with the hook and ladder play, and then on top he does the Statue of Liberty on a 2-point conversion when they could have just tied it and just gone to overtime.
Yeah.
And,
He said nope. Ian Johnson.
Yep.
Ran it in.
And then he proposes to his girlfriend afterwards.
Yeah, she was one of the cheerleaders for the Broncos.
Yep.
And they won that game 43-42 and finished the year 12-0. Undefeated season.
And they were still ranked number 3.
I was going to say, and they were still ranked number 17. No,
I think they were.
No, they were real high that year.
I think they were ranked 3 or 4.
Yeah, they were top 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and still no shot at a national championship
Exactly.
because even after that, that game was fun for me because if there's one thing about sports that I love so much is being able to sit down and watch a game between two teams that you could not care less about and still be able to cheer on either side. Whether it was Oklahoma or Boise State, obviously I think most of America was rooting for Boise State except for everybody out in Oklahoma. But for them to do what they did and get everybody in their living room tuned in, oh my goodness, what's going on? And for two teams that 95% of the country couldn't care less about.
Exactly.
Fun game to watch and one of my favorite things about sports, and I think that's a perfect one that encapsulates
that's
the best sports moments.
Cam Dog hit that one, hit the nail right on the head with that one. All right, let's go to Jeremy Sun, the best hockey player. That's a pretty good name. All right. The Miracle 1980 hockey team. Okay, he kind of took Perky's.
Yeah. He agrees with Iceman, who, by the way, we didn't even bring up.
Yeah.
Not here today. He's got the day off. We'll see him. We'll see him soon.
Okay.
But yep, he agrees with the Iceman, the 1980 Miracle on Ice team. Can't go wrong with that one.
All right, let's go to SoCal Weasel. He's back again, and he's bringing back up that he must like those Red Sox again. The Red Sox 2004 World Series championship.
And he agrees with me, which is odd. That's my brother. For those of you guys at home, he submitted the question. We got it on air. Nepotism at its finest.
Yeah, no kid.
I'm allowed to do it, so we did it.
And then C.J. Ilton. There will never be a greater moment than President Bush throwing out the first pitch in the World Series after 9/11.
That is one of the greatest moments in the history of sports. The moments we put on our list were all personal moments for us. But when you talk about as a country and as a nation, for him to go out there, Yankees Diamondbacks in the 2001 World Series, and stand on that mound and kind of just look around Yankee Stadium and
Say, bring it on,
say,
boys.
bring it on. Yeah, bring it on, boys. Exactly.
Exactly.
That's
I got
what
the
it was.
goosebumps right there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And then not just do that,
But then throw a strike.
and not 6-hop one to the catcher,
Not exactly.
but to fire one right down the middle that Angel Hernandez still would call a ball. I think that was one of the greatest moments in sports history. That too hard? Was that too hard?
Oh, it's better than what I was going to say. It was better than what I was going to say. So
Could have said C.B. Buckner. I could have thrown all the umpires out there who we know are terrible at calling balls and strikes, and who are only out there for the cameras.
I was going to suggest one of the candidates what he was going to throw. So anyway, I'll leave that one alone. But no, I agree. I think actually he was he might have been in a jacket too. He might have been in a flak jacket
he was.
too. He was wearing a bulletproof vest, and he actually
A jacket. He was in a jacket too. It was cold.
Granted, it was New York,
yeah,
and
right?
I mean,
In the
a
middle
perfect scenario where I mean he's several miles from ground zero, and basically he sits there and just fires a strike right in there, and got to give it to Christian right there. He hit that nail right on the head with that one. So that was a great answer right there, and that was kind of a great conclusion to the show.
That's why we put it last.
Yep, exactly.
Always go out on a high note.
So I guess that's going to do it for this episode of Coming In Hot. I'm Chuck Lasik. He's Eric Pestilano. Next time we're on, do we have a topic yet or not?
I'm going to keep it tight to the belt, but I'm in control, so
Oh, wow.
it's going to be fun.
Eric's going to be in the hot seat, so I guess you'll have to just stay tuned and wait for the topic.
It's called a tease.
Yeah,
See what we
that's
did there.
it,
It's a
yeah.
cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger. So once again, for my partner, Eric Pestilano, I'm Chuck Lasik, reminding you, you've been watching Coming In Hot. We'll see you next time, everybody.